China's unexpected proposal. The world watched with bated breath as news broke of China's bold diplomatic maneuver. Beijing had proposed hosting a summit between Russian President Vladimir Putin and former U.S. President Donald Trump. The goal? To find a resolution to the ongoing conflict in Ukraine. This unexpected move signaled China's growing ambition to be a major player in global diplomacy. It also highlighted the shifting sands of international relations. The proposal itself was unconventional. It was communicated to the Trump team through intermediaries, not through traditional diplomatic channels. This approach underscored the delicate nature of the situation and China's cautious approach. The proposal hinted at a larger role for Beijing. China, it seemed, was positioning itself as a potential peacekeeper in a post-conflict scenario. This move was widely seen as an attempt by China to assert its influence on the world stage. The summit, as envisioned by Beijing, would focus on finding common ground between the US and Russia. The aim was to establish a roadmap for peace in Ukraine. However, the proposal immediately sparked controversy. It excluded Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky from the negotiating table. This omission raised eyebrows and drew criticism from Western powers. The exclusion of Zelensky was a clear departure from the West's stance. The US and its European allies have consistently maintained that any resolution to the conflict must involve Ukraine directly. They argue that Ukraine has the right to be a part of any negotiations that determine its own future. The West sees Zelensky's involvement as crucial for ensuring Ukrainian sovereignty and self-determination. By sidelining Zelensky, China's proposal seemed to prioritize a negotiated settlement between great powers, potentially at the expense of Ukrainian interests. The decision to exclude Zelensky from the proposed summit was deliberate. It revealed China's strategic calculus in navigating the complex geopolitical landscape. China has traditionally advocated for a non-interference policy in the internal affairs of other countries. This principle has been a cornerstone of its foreign policy for decades. However, the exclusion of Zelensky also underscored the limits of this principle. By omitting Zelensky, China risked alienating Ukraine and its Western allies. This move could potentially undermine China's goal of mediating a peaceful resolution. The exclusion also highlighted the challenges of balancing competing interests in international relations. China had to weigh its desire for a prominent role on the global stage against the potential backlash from excluding a key stakeholder in the conflict. The controversy surrounding Zelensky's exclusion brought to the forefront the broader debate about the future of global governance. The existing world order, largely shaped by the West after World War II, is facing increasing challenges. The rise of China as a global power has introduced new dynamics to international relations. China's proposal, with its emphasis on great power negotiations, could be seen as a challenge to the traditional rules-based order. It raised questions about the role of smaller nations in resolving global conflicts. The exclusion of Zelensky symbolized a potential shift towards a more multipolar world, where power dynamics are more fluid and less predictable. The reaction to China's proposal was swift and divided. The White House, under the Biden administration, was quick to dismiss the idea. It deemed the proposal not viable and reiterated its support for Ukraine's sovereignty. The US government expressed skepticism about China's ability to act as an impartial mediator, given its close ties with Russia. The US also criticized the exclusion of Zelensky from the proposed summit. Washington argued that any negotiations must include all parties directly involved in the conflict. The US response reflected its commitment to upholding the existing rules-based international order and its unwavering support for Ukraine. In contrast to the US's negative response, the Chinese Foreign Ministry expressed a more measured reaction. While acknowledging the White House's skepticism, Beijing emphasized its commitment to promoting peace talks. The Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson stated that China was pleased to see improved dialogue between the US and Russia. This statement suggested that China viewed its proposal as a starting point for further discussions rather than a concrete plan. Beijing's response highlighted its desire to play a constructive role in international affairs, even in the face of resistance from other major powers. Amidst the diplomatic flurry, an unexpected development took place: a phone call between Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump. This conversation marked the first confirmed contact between the two leaders since Trump's return to the White House. The timing of the call, coming shortly after China's proposal, fueled speculation about its purpose and potential implications. Details of the conversation remain scarce, but both sides described it as productive. Trump, in his characteristic style, hailed the call as lengthy and highly productive, emphasizing the positive rapport he shared with Putin. The Kremlin, in a more reserved tone, confirmed the conversation and highlighted the leaders' shared commitment to finding a peaceful resolution to the Ukraine conflict. The phone call, regardless of its specific content, underscored the fluidity of the situation. It highlighted the potential for unexpected alliances and diplomatic maneuvers as global powers jostle for influence in a rapidly changing world. The conversation also raised questions about the role of non-state actors, such as former presidents, in shaping international relations. While Trump no longer held any official position in the U.S. government, his conversation with Putin served as a reminder of his enduring influence and his capacity to disrupt the status quo. The phone call, coming on the heels of China's proposal, injected a new layer of complexity into an already volatile